The African dawn breaks red and raw over Savanna, spilling light across an ancient battlefield. The air trembles with heat and history. A place where power is tested not in words, but in roars that shake the earth. This is the kingdom of the big cats, where strength, cunning, and courage decide who rules and who is forgotten. Here, every sunrise ignites a new war for survival, and every shadow hides an ambush. It is not a world of mercy, but of mastery. In the tall grass, a lion's mane glows like molten gold. He is Mbaku, a dominant male in the twilight of his reign. His body bears a story of countless battles. Claw marks etched across his flank, a torn ear from a fight years ago that earned him his pride. Around him, the females rest in the shade, their cubs tumbling over one another, unaware that peace in this world is never permanent. Mbaka lifts his head. The wind brings a scent. Danger, perhaps destiny, somewhere beyond the acacia trees. Another roar answers his own, deep, resonant, and defiant. It is Kovu, a younger lion from the north, bold and hungry for dominance. He has watched Mbaku's territory for months, observed his patrols, tested his borders, waited for weakness. For lions, territory is more than land. It is legacy. To control, it is to command the future, the watering holes, the hunting grounds, the females. And so begins a slow burn of rivalry that will set the savanna ablaze. As the sun climbs higher, vultures circle in the sky, drawn by the scent of a recent zebra kill. Mbaku's pride feeds quietly, but he does not eat. His golden eyes fix on the horizon. He senses movement, a silhouette against the heat shimmer. The intruder steps closer, muscles rippling under tawny fur. Kovu, the challenger, has come. They meet at the boundary of the pride's domain, where dust and tension rise together. The lionesses back away, forming a wide circle. Silence settles, the kind that comes before thunder. Mbaka growls first, a low, rolling sound that vibrates through the ground. Kovu replies, his mane darker, his teeth younger, sharper. For long moments, they stare, kings separated by age, ambition, and fate. Then, like lightning splitting the sky, they collide. The impact echoes across the plains. Paws strike, claws tear. Roars explode. Dust clouds rise as two titans battle for the throne. Mbaku's experience meets Kovu's youth. Each strike is a statement. Each wound a sentence written in blood. The lionesses cry out, circling but never interfering. Nature allows no referees. For minutes that feel like eternity, they wrestle in the heat. Mbaka bites deep into Kovu's shoulder, drawing a growl that shakes the air. Kovu rears, slashing, his paw raking across Mbaku's muzzle, sending a spray of crimson into the dust. Pain blinds, but Mbaka refuses to fall. He lunges again, using weight and wisdom to push his rival back. But time is merciless. The younger lion recovers, twisting with feral strength. He strikes with precision, claws digging into Mbaku's side, driving him to his knees. A roar tears through Savanna, echoing like thunder over bone-dry plains. The battle that began with pride ends with silence. Kovu stands victorious, chest heaving, mane darkened by blood and dust. Around him, the lionesses watch, torn between fear and duty. Mbaka limps away, wounded but alive, a dethroned king fading into the wilderness, swallowed by the same shadows he once ruled. In the animal kingdom, even legends must yield to time. But victory in this land is fleeting. The scent of power spreads like fire, and unseen eyes are always watching. Beyond the grasslands, in the misted forests of India, another empire stirs. The realm of the Bengal tiger, a beast larger, stronger, and just as deadly. While lions fight for pride and territory, tigers fight for solitude. One reigns in brotherhood, the other in isolation. Yet both share the same creed. To rule is to fight, and a fight is to survive. As night descends on the African plains, the stars witness another chapter of the eternal cycle. Mbaku's roar fades into memory, but somewhere out there, in another corner of the wild, a different growl begins. The jungle breathes, the grass whispers, and the drums of dominance beat on. The world changes as the screen fades from the golden plains of Africa to the deep emerald canopy of the Indian jungle. Here, light filters through layers of mist and leaves, scattering in silent shafts across the forest floor. The air is heavy, thick with the scent of rain-soaked earth, the hum of cicadas, and the distant cry of peacocks. It is a different kingdom entirely, one ruled not by pride or numbers, but by shadows. This is the realm of the Bengal tiger, the solitary monarch of Asia's wilderness. In these jungles, power does not roar across open land. It moves silently through the undergrowth. Every step is deliberate, every breath calculated. Among the sal trees, the great male tiger known as river prowls, his orange coat a flicker of flame against the green. Black stripes ripple along his muscles as he walks, the very definition of grace wrapped in danger. His territory stretches across 30 square miles of dense forest and riverbeds, land he has fought for, bled for, and marked with the scent of his dominance. Unlike the lion, Rudra is a solitary emperor. He hunts alone, lives alone, and kills alone. In the tiger's world, there are no prides, no allies, only boundaries and rivals. Every tree and every path is written with a scent, a silent warning to others. Trespass and perish. Yet even kings are never truly alone. Somewhere beyond the hills, another male has entered his realm, a younger, leaner tiger called Banu, driven by hunger and ambition. Banu's arrival changes everything. For days, the forest carries uneasy signs, claw marks on new trees, fresh sprays of scent where Rudras had once ruled unchallenged. The jungle's silence grows heavy with anticipation. Animals sense it. The deer move in nervous herds. The langurs cry alarms at the slightest rustle. Even the birds seem quieter, as if the forest itself is holding its breath. Rudra knows. He can feel the intrusion in his bones. Tigers do not roar without reason. Their calls are declarations of war. One evening, as the sun dips red beyond the trees, his deep, thunderous growl rolls through the jungle. It is not a warning. It is a challenge. And somewhere in the distance, Banu answers. When they finally meet, it is not in open daylight, but beneath the silver glow of a full moon. The river glimmers nearby, reflecting two shadows that move with lethal intent. The air crackles with tension. Two tigers, two fates, one kingdom. Rudra circles slowly, his massive head low, muscles coiled like steel cables. Banu mirrors him, eyes burning gold, tail flicking in defiance. Neither breaks gaze. Then the forest explodes. A roar so deep it shudders through the trees, splits the silence. They collide with a force that sends dust and leaves flying. Claws slash, teeth snap, fur tears. The jungle becomes a blur of fury and motion. Unlike lions who fight for dominance within a pride, tigers fight for existence itself. This is no ritual duel. This is annihilation. Rudra strikes first, his weight and experience giving him the upper hand. He pins Banu, jaws closing around the younger tiger's shoulder, a growl rumbling through his chest like distant thunder. Banu kicks free, rolling to his feet, blood glistening against his coat. He lunges again, this time faster. Youth against wisdom, speed against strength. The fight drags through mud and thorns, each blow painting the ground with crimson. Hours seem to pass within minutes. Breath turns to steam, muscles tremble, and the cries of the forest return in waves. Owls hooting, monkeys screaming, the jungle alive with the sound of survival. At last, Banu falters. A final strike from Rudra sends him sprawling into the reeds. He lies still, chest heaving, eyes dimming but not yet closed. Rudra steps forward, his breath harsh and heavy. For a long moment, he stands over his rival, and then, in a rare gesture of ancient instinct, he spares him. Banu limps away into the darkness, defeated but alive. The jungle reclaims its silence. Rudra, bloody but unbroken, lifts his head and roars into the night. The sound travels for miles, bouncing off riverbanks and echoing through the valley, a declaration of victory and a warning to all who listen. The king still reigns. But the jungle is vast, and Rudra's victory is not the end. Beyond the horizon, others like him prowl. Amur tigers in the frozen Siberian forests, Sumatran tigers among volcanic slopes, each fighting their own battles for survival. Across continents, the bloodline of strength continues, and every territory has its throne, every throne its price. As dawn breaks once more, Rudra walks along the riverbank. His reflection moves with him, a silent ghost of the hunter and the hunted. The forest awakens again. Deer return to graze, birds sing, monkeys chatter. Life goes on as it always does, nourished by the endless rhythm of dominance and defeat. In the kingdom of the tiger, peace is never guaranteed. It is merely borrowed until the next challenger dares to rise. Night falls differently in the realm of the leopard. While the lion's roar fades over distant plains and the tiger's growl echoes through jungles, the leopard moves unseen, silent as breath. To the untrained eye, he is invisible, a ghost that exists between moonlight and shadow. But within the stillness lies one of nature's most efficient killers, patient, precise, and endlessly adaptable. Deep in the heart of the African bush, where the trees grow thick and the grass whispers secrets to the wind, a male leopard named Kale prowls. His coat glows in soft golden light, patterned with perfect rosettes. Nature's camouflage woven from centuries of evolution. Every step he takes is measured, every pause purposeful. For Kale, strength does not roar, it whispers. Unlike lions who depend on unity or tigers who depend on might, Kale depends on mastery of silence. The night is his ally. A troop of baboons sleeps on a nearby cliff, and a herd of impalas grazes below the moonlight. Kale watches from shadows, tail twitching, eyes gleaming like molten amber. To him, the world is a web of opportunity. He calculates distance, wind, light, every factor that decides life or death in his universe. Then, without sound or warning, he moves. In an instant, the leopard becomes motion itself, flowing like water through tall grass. His paws touch the earth without a sound. In seconds, he is upon his prey. The impala barely flinches before Kale's jaws close around its throat. A brief struggle, a final gasp, and silence returns to the forest. But Kale does not feast in the open. He drags a carcass effortlessly, muscle rippling, sinew stretching, up the nearest tree. There, high above scavengers and thieves, he dines under the stars. For the leopard, the world below is never safe. Hyenas prowl the ground, lions patrol the plains, and even man has become a rival predator. But Kale's genius lies in his adaptability. Where others battle for land, he survives through intellect, shifting habitats, crossing rivers, climbing mountains. He can thrive in desert dunes, dense forests, or suburban edges. His kingdom is wherever he can climb, hide, or strike. Thousands of miles away, across oceans and rainforests, lives his distant cousin, the jaguar, ruler of the South American wilderness. If the leopard is a shadow, the jaguar is thunder wrapped in fur. Where Kale moves with subtlety, the jaguar named Zolitl dominates with raw, elemental power. The Amazon is no gentle place. It hums with life and death intertwined. Rivers whine like serpents, and the air hangs heavy with moisture and decay. Within this emerald labyrinth, Zolitl moves with absolute confidence. His body is stockier than Kale's, his muscles built not for running, but for crushing. His bite is the strongest of all big cats, powerful enough to pierce skull and shell alike. Even the mighty caiman, armored reptile of the rivers, fears him. One humid evening, Zolitl stalks along a jungle riverbank, his paws sinking into mud with each step. The jungle sings, frogs croak, insects buzz, macaws scream overhead, but he hears only one sound, the splash of capybara entering the water. His pupils narrow. A ripple, a movement, a chance. With a sudden burst, the jaguar leaps. The impact is explosive, a blur of gold and black rosettes striking water with brutal precision. He drags his prey out, jaws locked around its skull. The jungle falls silent again. For Zolitl, the hunt is more than survival. It is ritual, a dance between life and power repeated since the dawn of time. Yet even this mighty predator faces challenge. Another male has entered the river basin, young, reckless, and eager to carve his place in the world. The scent of intrusion sends Zolitl's blood boiling. Jaguars are solitary by nature, and territory defines identity. The forest cannot hold two kings. When the rivals finally meet, the confrontation is brief but violent. They roar, a sound like rolling thunder beneath the canopy. Claws flash, jaws snap, tails lash through the undergrowth. The forest shakes as they grapple, water splashing around them in furious rhythm. In the end, Zolo's experience and power prevail. He pins his rival down, teeth sinking into flesh just enough to make his message clear. Leave or die. The younger male flees, limping into the jungle shadows. Victory echoes in silence. As dawn filters through the mist, Zolo reclines by the river, his reflection shimmering on the surface. He is bruised but unbeaten, the undisputed ruler of his emerald domain. Meanwhile, across continents, Kale the leopard climbs another tree at sunrise, clutching his kill between his jaws. For both cats, separated by oceans but bound by blood, survival is not about strength alone. It is about balance, cunning, and adaptation. They live in the margins between dominance and disappearance, proving that in nature, intelligence can be as lethal as muscle. In the grand order of the wild, lions roar for legacy, tigers fight for solitude, and leopards vanish into myth. Yet together, they form the eternal trinity of predators, each ruling a different kingdom, each playing the same timeless game. The jungle, the forest, the plain, all echo with their struggles. And while the world changes, while man builds and encroaches, the big cats continue their silent wars in the heart of nature's last frontiers. The camera lingers on Kale's eyes, calm, amber, unreadable. Then it fades into the dark pools of Zolot's gaze across the ocean. Two predators, one lineage, and an unbroken instinct that defines the essence of the wild. Because in the realm of big cats, the only law that matters is dominance, and the only truth is survival. The air thins as we rise above the clouds, where the sky feels closer and the earth itself seems to fall away. The jungles fade, the savannas vanish, and the sound of insects and birds is replaced by a deeper silence, the silence of the mountains. Here, among the frozen peaks and cliffs of the Himalayas, life clings to the edge of existence. The temperature drops far below freezing, the winds slice like knives, and the terrain itself tests the courage of every creature that dares to live here. Yet, even in this desolation, one predator thrives, the snow leopard, the ghost of the mountains. She is called Arya, her coat a masterpiece of nature, pale silver fur dappled with smoky rosettes, perfectly blending with rock and ice. Her tail, long and thick like a rope of snow, wraps around her as she crouches, invisible against the cliffs. To see her is a miracle, to hear her, almost impossible. Arya's world is carved from stone and silence, a place where stealth is survival, and patience is the only path to life. Beneath her, a herd of blue sheep barrel, moves across the slopes, hooves gripping the impossible terrain. Arya watches, her eyes narrowing. The distance is immense, the wind erratic, but she has hunted in these mountains since her youth. Every ridge, every shadow, every gust of snow is an ally. She crouches lower, muscles coiling beneath her fur. Then, with a silent leap that defies gravity, she begins her descent, bounding from ledge to ledge, tail spinning for balance, snow scattering behind her like smoke. It is a pursuit that only a snow leopard can master, a deadly ballet across vertical cliffs. The barrel sends her too late. In seconds, Arya is upon one, claws sinking into flesh, jaws clamping around its neck. The echo of the struggle fades into the howling wind, leaving only the mountain and the ghost that rules it. Arya feeds in solitude, her breath misting in the cold air, her eyes reflecting both hunger and harmony. For here, every kill is sacred, every victory fragile. Far away, on another continent, in the wild highlands of Patagonia and the American Rockies, another phantom stalks the cliffs. The mountain lion, or puma, known to locals as a cougar, reigns where the forests meet the stone. His name is Sol, a male in his prime, draped in tawny fur that glows gold under the western sun. Like Arya, Sol is a solitary ruler, unseen, unheard, until it's too late. His kingdom stretches from snowy peaks to red deserts. He is both ghost and gladiator, adaptable, resilient, and endlessly intelligent. Sol's greatest enemy is not another cat, but survival itself. The mountain lion's world overlaps with that of humans, ranches, roads, and cities creeping ever closer. Yet he endures, his cunning sharper than any claw. He knows when to hide, when to strike, and when to vanish into shadow. But even the most cunning hunter cannot escape the rules of the wild. Soul's territory is being tested. A young male, lean, daring, reckless, has entered his domain, following the scent of female and heat. For days, Soul tracks him through the canyons, their paths intertwining like twin serpents across the rocks. Tension builds beneath the silent sky. Two predators, both strong, both hungry, both unwilling to yield. The confrontation comes at dusk. The air is sharp, and the world glows red under the dying light. The two cats meet on a ridge, tails low, muscles taut. There are no roars here, no declarations. Only stillness and then motion. They collide with ferocity born from instinct, rolling through dust and snow. Claws rake, jaws snap, their silhouettes merging in a blur of fury. For long minutes, neither gives way. Blood spatters the stones, and the echoes of their snarls bounce off canyon walls. At last, Soul gains the upper ground. He pins his rival down, his paw heavy on the younger male's throat. The challenger freezes, chest heaving, eyes wide, submission. Soul growls, deep and resonant, not from cruelty but command. The message is clear. This land, this prey, this life, it is mine. The younger lion limps away into the ravine, beaten but alive. In this frozen empire, mercy is rare, but dominance must always be declared. As the sun sinks behind the peaks, Soul surveys his domain. From icy rivers to hidden caves, the land stretches vast and unforgiving, yet beautiful in its brutality. A condor glides overhead, and the wind carries whispers from across continents. Echoes of lions roar in Africa, tigers growling in India, leopards stalking in darkness. Every cat, though separated by land and sky, fights the same eternal battle, to hold their place in a world that never stops changing. Back in the Himalayas, Arya rests in a shallow cave, snow gathering at the entrance. Her cubs, two small shadows of fur, curl against her side. For them, the mountain is both cradle and crucible. She licks their faces gently, her eyes distant. She knows the truth every predator learns. Survival is not inherited, it is earned. Every hunt, every leap, every breath is a lesson written in the snow. In these frozen kingdoms, the roar of the Savanna becomes the whisper of wind. Yet the message remains the same. Strength is not only in the muscles or claws, but in endurance, the will to live where no life should exist. And as the storm gathers once more, the snow leopard and the mountain lion remain steadfast, living ghosts in lands that remember every step, every struggle, every victory. For even here, where the air is thin and the night eternal, the law of the wild never sleeps. The age of roaring kings is far from over, but their empires are shrinking. Across the world, the kingdoms of the great cats tremble beneath the weight of a new adversary, one that builds instead of hunts, consumes without hunger, and destroys without needing to kill. The skies are filled not with vultures, but with smoke. The rivers carry not the scent of prey, but of oil and waste. The fiercest of predators, the one creature no claw can wound and no roar can frighten, has entered the story, man. In Africa, where Mbaka once reigned and Kova now rules, the golden plains are carved by roads and fences. The herds that once stretched beyond sight have thinned. The zebras, antelopes, and buffalo vanish year by year. Lions once fought only rivals. Now they face scarcity. A lion's territory that once spanned 100 miles may now fit within national park's borders, hemmed by villages and livestock pens. Hunger breeds desperation. Pride males, driven by instinct and starvation, sometimes turn to cattle. In return, men come with fire and bullets. One night, under a blood-red sky, Kovu's pride approaches a village fence. The lionesses, lean from days without a kill, look to him for leadership. He can smell cattle, easy prey. He knows the risk, but hunger makes all kings mortal. As they move closer, a gunshot shatters the night. Chaos erupts. Dust, fear, pain. A lioness falls. Kovu roars into the dark, not a roar of power, but of grief. The war between man and beast has no honor, no rules, and no end. Half a world away, in the jungles of India, Rudra the tiger patrols his forest. But even here, the whispers of human encroachment grow louder. Roads cut through ancient trees, trains rumble across hunting paths, and poachers move like shadows, not for food, but for profit. His kind is killed for fur, bones, teeth, tokens for human vanity and superstition. The tiger, symbol of strength in every legend, has become a trophy on a wall. Rudra senses a change. The forest no longer feels infinite. The scent of diesel hangs where rain once ruled. He follows a trail of blood one morning, not of prey, but of another tiger, one felled by a trap. Rudra's eyes burn with something older than rage, sorrow. The jungle that once obeyed him now echoes with the footsteps of strangers. Even the rivers seem quieter, as though mourning their guardians. In the rainforest of the Amazon, Zolo the jaguar faces his own apocalypse. The green ocean of life that once stretched endlessly is being devoured by flame. Trees fall, rivers dry, and the songs of birds are replaced by the crackle of fire. His territory shrinks daily, his prey vanishes. But worse than hunger is confusion, for the jaguar cannot understand the kind of enemy that burns a forest and does not eat. He prowls along the smoking ruins, eyes reflecting firelight. His roar is drowned by the sound of collapsing trees. From Africa's savannas to Asia's jungles, from the mountains of Patagonia to the frozen Himalayas, the story is the same. The leopards hide closer to villages now, hunting stray dogs and goats. The snow leopard's glaciers melt, leaving less ground to hunt. Even the mountain lion's domain shrinks as highways and houses cut through his trails. Humanity has reshaped the world, and with it, the fate of every predator. But nature is not a silent victim. The big cats adapt. They always have. Kale, the African leopard, now hunts in the outskirts of cities, slipping through darkness like a phantom. He has learned to move with the rhythm of streetlights, to feed unseen on what man leave behind. Arya, the snow leopard, pushes higher into the mountains, raising her cubs where no roads reach. Rudra's descendants in India patrol reserves protected by rangers who risk their lives for them. And Zolo's bloodline still prowls the edges of the Amazon, surviving in fragments of green that refuse to die. Man may be the new apex predator, but he is also the new guardian. Across the planet, others of his kind fight back against destruction. Conservationists, scientists, villagers who now protect the animals they once feared. Slowly, the war changes shape. The same intelligence that destroyed can also restore. Reserves grow. Corridors reopen. Cubs are born in lands once silent. A dawn breaks somewhere in Africa, golden and vast. Kovu sons play in the grass, their roars young and hopeful. In India, Rudra's lineage thrives again, their stripes reflected in the clean waters of a protected forest. In the Himalayas, Arya's cubs chase snowflakes under the pale sun. For a moment, the world remembers balance. But balance in nature is never permanent. It is a heartbeat, a breath. For every forest reborn, another burns. For every pride saved, another fades. The story of the big cats is a story of resistance, of life clinging to existence with tooth and claw. And though the scars of mankind run deep, the spirit of these predators runs deeper. Because even as machines roar louder than lions and cities glow brighter than stars, the wild refuses to die. It waits, in grass and snow, in jungle mist, for the moment it can rise again. For in the eyes of the big cats still burns the oldest fire of all, the will to endure. The story of the wild was never one of defeat, only of resilience. For every forest burned, a seed waits beneath the ash. For every river polluted, a spring still runs clean beneath the soil. And for every big cat hunted or driven away, somewhere one endures, surviving, adapting, waiting. Nature is patient. It forgets nothing, but it forgives everything that dares to return. In Africa, the sun rises over new hope. The great savannas that once echoed with silence now stir again with the rhythm of life. The golden grass ripples like an ocean beneath the wind, and through it moves a shadow, Kovu's daughter, Nyara, her mane not yet full but her confidence radiant. She is part of a new generation born under protection, where national parks and conservation zones have given lions a second chance. Her pride moves freely across the open plains, unchained by fear, watched not through rifle scopes but through the lenses of those who protect. Her roars ring across the land, not as cries of warning, but of return. Zebras gather, buffalo thunder, antelope sprint, the balance restored. Each hunt now feeds the plains as it did centuries before. The The scavengers follow, the vultures circle, and the soil grows rich with the eternal exchange of life and death. The circle, once broken, begins to close. In India, the tiger's empire awakens. The jungles that once trembled under logging machines now hum with the songs of peacocks, cicadas, and streams. Deep inside a reserve protected by vigilant rangers, a tigress named Nandini, Rudra's granddaughter, moves through tall grass glistening with dew. Her orange coat burns like a living flame beneath the canopy, her every step measured, powerful, divine. When she roars, the forest answers. Langurs call alarms, deer scatter, but all of it is harmony. The sound of life working as it should. The return of the tiger has restored the jungle's rhythm. The deer no longer overgraze. The vegetation flourishes, smaller predators thrive, and the balance that humans once shattered slowly begins to heal. The jungle breathes again. Thousands of miles away, in the heart of South America, rain falls gently upon a reborn Amazon. The fires that once turned the sky to smoke have left behind scars, but green shoots now push through the blackened soil. Life reclaims what was taken. And there, on the damp riverbanks, the jaguar returns. Zolo's descendants, stronger, leaner, more cautious, prowl through the renewed rainforest. One among them, a male named Tsumi, watches in the shadows as capybaras bathe along the river. His golden eyes reflect both hunger and wonder. For the first time in years, the forest feels infinite again. The rivers run deep, the trees stretch high, and prey is plentiful. Tsumi crouches, silent as the mist itself. With one explosive motion, he leaps, muscle and grace in perfect unity. The splash of the river, the cry of his prey, the thud of impact, and then silence. The jungle holds its breath, then exhales. Life has returned to balance. In the frozen world of the Himalayas, Arya's cubs have grown. Her daughter, Sira, now rules her own cliffs, a queen of ice and altitude. Where once only echoes moved, now paw prints mark the snow again. The snow leopard survival is a miracle written in frost. Conservation efforts and local shepherd alliances have made her kind safer than ever before. The ghosts of the mountains, once on the edge of extinction, now walk in quiet resurgence. Across the Americas, the story repeats. In Yellowstone's rugged wilderness, mountain lions roam freely once again, silently weaving through forests where elk and bison have returned. The reintroduction of wolves, the protection of predators, it all brings harmony to ecosystems that had grown still without them. When the hunters return, the hunted becomes smarter, the land becomes richer, and the pulse of nature steadies. Everywhere, the same truth unfolds. Predators do not destroy balance, they create it. Lions drive herbivores to migrate and renew the grasslands. Tigers shape jungles with the discipline of fear. Leopards keep balance at the borders, silent custodians of the night. Jaguars maintain the rivers, and pumas keep the mountains alive. Each reigns in its realm, not as tyrant, but as guardian. But their battles have changed. No longer do they fight only each other for dominance. Their wars now are shared, against the loss of wilderness, against the vanishing of what makes the earth wild. And in this new war, they have unexpected allies, humans who have learned to listen instead of conquer. In sanctuaries across the planet, cubs are born under the watchful eyes of conservationists. In remote forests, camera traps capture the fleeting beauty of tigers and leopards moving freely once more. In classrooms, children learn that these animals are not monsters to be feared, but miracles to be protected. Slowly, the myth of dominance gives way to the truth of coexistence. The sun sets across 3 continents at once, over savannas, the jungles, and the mountains, and for the first time in centuries, all breathe in unison. Lions nap beneath acacia trees. Tigers patrol their rivers. Leopards rest in the shade of stone. Jaguars glide through emerald waters. Pumas gaze down from icy peaks. The world, scarred but alive, remembers its wild heart. The wild does not forgive easily, but it always remembers who belongs. And as the stars rise over an earth more balanced, more aware, and more alive, one truth becomes clear. The great cats were never conquered. They were only waiting for a world wise enough to share the throne.